Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then please subscribe, like the video, and don't forget to share your comments at the end of the video. In today's video, an Ethiopian Israel soldier gets schooled after being on the Israeli side and claiming that a lot of people who post about Israel and Palestine give uninformed opinions about the subject. Now, she calls this conflict complicated. Is it really complicated? Or it's just because that's an excuse a lot of people used to give for all these years? Or really, it is complicated, which I doubt is complicated after having people done a lot of research on this issue. Now, in the video, this female soldier is heard saying that maybe people who comment or post anything about this conflict are not the right people to give geopolitical analysis on this conflict. Who then is the right person to comment on this war? It's okay for her to have a different opinion on this, but what just didn't sit well with most people is her involving people in all of this. Yes, she is also black, but I think she would have still aired out her views or experiences without involving all black people in this. Now, she complains bitterly about how October 7th felt, but does she know how Palestinians have been feeling for all these years? You would be surprised seeing a black person saying all of this in this video and that people are not treated in Israel. But are these people being genuine or real to themselves? Check out these videos for more context. I will be right back.
Hey, so I'm in reserves, obviously, and I'm scrolling to social media and I keep seeing people posting about Israel and Palestine, given their uninformed opinion about the subject. And I realized something. I would like the confident, like legit, I would love the confident people who have the most basic, narrow understanding of this conflict, who go ahead and post information with such a determination. People who have zero understanding of the Middle East and the ripple effect that happens every single time you take any action in this region. Like you watch 2 TikTok videos and 1 Instagram post and you're like, I'm down. Now I can weigh in on one of arguably complicated conflict that exists in our world today. Like if you cannot tell me why Yemen, declare a war on Israel, maybe you're not the right person to give geopolitical analysis on this conflict. But more than everything, I would like the audacity. The audacity of people coming to my page about Jewish women and try to educate me about my own experience. Like, yes, Karen from Minnesota, I really needed your education about my own experience in my own country. Talking to me about social justice and system like you care about people in Israel when you actively don't. Because you care, you will talk about the fact that you're literally being slaughtered out here. But you don't. The only time you talk about the experience of black people in Israel is when it fits your political agenda. When you can use our pain, our struggle to promote your ideology. You exploit our experience, our struggles to promote an ideology that we don't agree with. And the same people posting these things will never tell you that black people in Israel feel like this is their homeland, that they have bled and sacrificed and fought for this country. My community literally walked through deserts in order to be a part of this country. And me living here today wearing these uniforms is the actual realization of my ancestors' Zionist dream. Now I understand. Majority of the people posting are extremely privileged. You are. You never had to go through war. You don't know how it feels when I shoot at you every single day. Your childhood memories are not filled with buses going up. But more than everything, you don't know how October 7th felt. You don't know how it felt to wake up on Saturday, the holiest day for the Jewish people, and realizing that over 1,400 people in your country were killed in the most barbaric, inhumane way. They were gunned down in a party. They were gunned down while sleeping in their bed. They were decapitated, raped, and 241 people were kidnapped. 29 of them are children. The youngest is 9 months old. What kind of a monster that a 9 months old baby? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not making this video to convince you that I have the right to defend myself. I'm going to do it either way. I'm making this video to tell you that we did not start this war, but we are going to be the ones to finish it. We're going to destroy Hamas and we're going to bring our people back home. Simply as that. I'm Israel Khan.
The way that Palestinian people and the pro-Palestinian people love to use my skin color as an excuse to talk shit about my country. They are so in shock seeing a black person supporting Israel. Let me tell you something. When I say I stand with Israel, I mean I stand with my right to exist. I stand with my family and my friends. I'm a Jewish woman. And the fact that you didn't even know there are Jewish black people living in this earth is insane. And I was never converted to Judaism. I'm not adopted. I saw someone ask me in the comments if I'm adopted. No, I'm not. I was born Jewish to a Jewish mother. My mother, she's also a Jewish woman. She also was born to a Jewish mother, and all the way back. People are talking about how poorly black people are treated in Israel and saying, well, they don't even like your girl. What are you doing there? Let me tell you something. When my grandparents lived all the way in Ethiopia, they were literally hated and chased and hated just because they were Jews, just because of their religion. I live here in Israel my whole life and I never felt hated. I never felt hunted just because I'm black. It's insane, right? And I know a lot of people gonna comment, go back to where you came from. But this is exactly what I did. I came back to where my Jewish ass belonged to. So I belong in this land, and I do not give a shit what you have to say about that. I seriously do not give a shit about that.
Is this another stance by Israel? Because I really can't get it. If you were thinking of stopping to watch this video, then I'm sorry, because the videos I'm about to share are even more interesting. So make sure to stay glued as you listen to people respond to these two videos. Talking about Israel being Israel, people even think that Israel is propping the black community within their proximity in this way to do this. Are they forcing them to say what they're saying in the videos? Check out these videos as people share their thoughts on what these two
narrow understanding of this conflict who go ahead and post information with such a determination.
So sis goes on with the classic Zionist thing of saying that the conflict between Israel and Palestine too complicated for you. You can't understand. It's funny to me how for most Zionists, the audience that they're speaking directly to is the American audience. You're not talking to any sis. Theodore Hertz, the Balfour Declaration and the people who wrote it are not your blood. They are not your blood. Netanyahu is not your blood. He is not your blood. So what are we learning from this? First of all, the audience is a white woman in particular. What does a white woman understand about the suffering of a Jewish black woman in Israel? Nothing. So you don't qualify. That's the classic Zionist move. You are either too dumb or you're too outside of this intersection to understand the suffering of this person. So who are you to call out a Zionist colonial genocidal regime that they're committing genocide? Sis, what does the fact that you're a black Jewish Ethiopian woman have to do with the fact that Israel is committing genocide? I'm talking to you as another black woman. Huh?
We've now reached a phase where Israel is just propping up the black people within their proximity in this PR war. They're propping up black women who are actively fighting in the IDF. It's if we did not know that they are sterilizing Ethiopian Jewish women. We're going to get into that story. Also, did y'all see that the black Jewish, little Imagine-esque video that they put together? Talking about Israel's all I know. Ma'am, you from Brooklyn. You got a whole New York accent. You're American.
Black women say. Now, what has unfolded in a few months has its seed in history. For decades, Western media outlets, academics, military experts, and world leaders have described the Israeli-Palestinian conflict as intraceable, complicated, and deadlocked. Now, Palestine-Israel is not unique in its complexity or controversy. And while most topics and issues are framed as complex and controversial for the sake of commencing a deepened entry into the topic, exploring its many dimensions, the statement that the issue of Palestine Palestine and Israel is complex and controversial serves instead as an end to the conversation. Now, when it comes to Palestine, this statement is almost never the beginning of a quest for more knowledge and better learning. Rather, this statement is the extent of the learning process. It puts a stop to it. It ends the conversation by declaring a non-position on the matter. When politicians, executives, journalists, academics, etc. proclaim this statement, their intended goal is for the question of Palestine to go away, to be removed off their desk. Why? Now, in many cases, because they are afraid of the consequences. This is what everyone admits and knows in private conversations, but almost never openly acknowledges. Therefore, what actually drives the non-positionality is the very fear that most people deny having. The non-positionality of the statement. It is complex and controversial, is far from neutral. Now, this statement indeed maintains the status quo by ensuring the continued pacification of Palestine and Palestinians in Euro-American public discourse. Israeli propagandists are the only beneficiaries of a statement that poses for itself a non-position, because non-positions are always ultimately concealment of reality. When you declare that you will not take a position, when you end the conversation because something is controversial and complex, you're declaring that the reality of the situation is hopelessly and infinitely indisferable. Now, you are declaring that you do not know what position to take because nobody knows the reality of the situation. This statement thus declares that the reality of Palestine-Israel is unknowable, which is precisely the conclusion that Israeli propaganda is entirely comfortable with. Only the West and colonial Palestinians and their supporters are attempting to communicate the reality of settler colonialism and side to the world. Only they are making it knowable. Now, Israeli and Zionist propaganda in Euro-America and elsewhere is designed to conceal and hide that reality because it does not serve the Zionist political project. Therefore, a declared non-position that clouds reality and conceals it is in fact a statement of support for Israeli propaganda. That does not mean that Zionism does not understand its own reality. In fact, within some Zionist discursive spaces, a space where, for example, Zionist settlers speak freely, as we saw in the most recent viral videos, you will find a basic description of the totality of that settler on your apartheid reality. If I don't steal your home, someone else will steal it. They know that they're stealing, that they are there to unalive and replace the native Palestinians. Now, in as much as my fellow black sisters are saying that black people are not associated in Israel, comments made by Israel's top political and religious leaders are a dismissal reminder of how little black lives matter in the country and how African refugees remain the mortal danger whether or not the government's plan to deport them is temporarily suspended. Now, on March 17, one of Israel's two chief rabbis called people and the Hebrew equivalent of the word in his weekly sermon. Now, it is highly unlikely that Yosef will face any real repercussions for his R-to-the-6 comments. He was not demoted after saying in a similar sermon exactly 2 years ago that all non-Jews, Africans, Arabs, or otherwise could only live in Israel if they agree to serve the country's Jewish population. Now, it's unclear if Yosef's comments were directly connected to the Israeli government's impending expulsion of approximately 40,000 African refugees, mainly Christians and Muslims from Eritrea and Sudan. Now, the government did coerce more than a third of the African refugee community in Israel, over 20,000 souls, to return to Africa. Israeli journalists did reveal in recent months that the government's promises to secure status for them in Rwanda or Uganda were only a ruse devised to deport them back into a stateless existence. Now, to be fair, R-to-the-6 comments from state-paid rabbis aren't exactly a rarity in Israel. Israel's other chief rabbi used the word to describe black athletes on his very first day in office in July 2013. But another anti-African comment made by Israel's most powerful politician was almost certainly timed to coincide with the government's efforts to ethnically cleanse the country of the refugees. Now, on March 19, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a public speech that the arrival of non-Jewish African refugees was much worse for Israel than severe acts by Sinai terrorists. Netanyahu's comments came as citizens across the country have been publicly expressing reservations to his expulsion plan. Now, since the start of the calendar year, Israelis from all walks of life have registered their adamant opposition to the planned deportations, which were scheduled to begin on April 1st. Doctors and artists, professors and pilots, students and survivors of the coast, and a pro-refugee protest in Tel Aviv drew over 20,000 people opposed to the expulsion. Now, the last time that Netanyahu associated African refugees with terrorists was at another very critical moment, when the fate of of these refugees hang in the balance. In September 2014, Israel's High Court deemed Netanyahu's anti-refugee policies unconstitutional and ordered the closure of the Holot Desert Detention Center the government had already rounded thousands of African men into. Determined to prevent the closure of the camp, a key component of Israeli efforts to pressure refugees to leave the country, Netanyahu's ministers raced against time to draw up another version of the same R to the CIS law that would pass the muster of the High Court. Now, in the math after the court ruling, Netanyahu associated refugees with terrorists when he announced special screenings for visitors arriving from Africa. The new policy, he explained, was intended to prevent the entry of the Ebola virus. What do you, my viewers, have to say about this video? Kindly share your comments down below in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.